And we back, y'all. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy James, and I am here to give my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. I think it actually will happen in this video. Joining me as always is my co-host, Mrs. Best. Y'all say what's up to her.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me, James.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And as you guys saw on the title description, this is the Braxtons. The Braxtons are back, season 1, episode 1. This is a whole new franchise to continue the other franchise, from what my understanding of this is. And I'm excited just to have them back. It was definitely refreshing to see Tony, Tawanda, Trina, Tamar, and Missy. So, I really can appreciate them coming back and facing it after the loss of our beloved Tracy Braxton. Y'all, this episode, yes, I am reviewing this too. I I at first I wasn't going to, but Mrs. Best convinced me to do so. I wasn't going to pick up this show because it's not really my realm of drama that I like. It's really just a kind of a family thing, but I do love all of the sisters, so I'm here just on that. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for being here. So, y'all have to admit, this episode was very deep. It is very deep, even for me, because it hits home. Like you guys would not believe. For those of you guys who do not know, I had recently lost my father to cancer about 2 months ago. And them talking about Tracy and her battling her cancer, really, it was hard for me to sit through. So I had to watch this episode 3 times because I've had to keep cutting it off, come back, and try to see if I can face it. So it's really tough. This was a really tough episode. It was emotional. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. It was very emotional. They was talking about illnesses all over the place and talking about grief counseling, which I started a month ago and I'm still going through it. So it was hard, but overall, I will say I was glad to see them on this capacity. Mrs. Best, how did you like the episode before we dissect everything?
It was sad as hell. I'm not gonna lie, it was sad as hell. I have a friend who's battling cancer right now, and she really loves or loved Tracy Braxton. So I was like, oh man, cancer is everywhere. They got to figure it out, like on a separate note, because there's too many people dying from it, people who try to live a healthy life, people who may not live the healthiest life, and it's just like everywhere. It's sad.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Y'all, it is sad. So we open it up, with all of the sisters and their mother, Missy, getting together to dinner. They have not really seen much of each other because everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And it's really weird for them because directly they were a very close. Hi, Jim Bunny. They were a very close knit family, a group of sisters. We saw this for, I think they had 7 seasons of the original Braxton show. So we got to see the dynamics. We got to see who were the closest and everything. So I think for all of them to kind of have spiral after Tracy has passed wasn't really in the cards for them. But sometimes life does that, y'all. Life really does do that. It gets in the way. Your family that you haven't checked on in a while, they kind of go under the radar. And then when you do get them, something ends up happening. So this was very surreal to watch this. But the ladies all get to their minus Tawanda. She is late, running late. And they begin talking, about what's everyone doing, how's everyone been. We learned that Tony is preparing for another Vegas residency with Cedric the Entertainer. Now, I remember watching this. I think it was on Jennifer Hudson's little show that they were doing a residency together, and I had no idea. In the midst of that, they were filming the Braxtons. I didn't know all of that. I just thought Tony was just doing a Vegas residency. The concept is interesting. It's a comedy mixed with Tony singing. So I don't know what this is supposed to look like. I don't know if it's live now. I don't even know that either, but I know they've been working on this for a minute. So if anyone's seen it, put it in the comments. Let me know
I
how it
was just in
was.
Vegas and didn't see not a damn sign, not a coming soon, nothing. So I don't know.
What hotel? I'm gonna have to Google this show. I'm sorry, I should have came more prepared. I should have Googled this because I've kind of felt like with Tony Braxton, they hugely promote her everywhere, especially when she comes to Phoenix. Tony Braxton is all over the place in Phoenix when she comes here. So,
But when she comes to the Bay, she
mhm.
tends to be, especially as of late, in smaller venues, and the shows do not ever be sold out.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
so
well,
it didn't used to be like that out here years ago. They put her at the Coliseum and all of that. But lately, unless she's on like a tour, she might be at the Paramount, maybe the
yeah,
Fox.
she performs at one of the bigger casinos here, like one of the bigger ones that we have out here in Phoenix and Scottsdale. She was there the last time. I think it was the Longest I Lived tour. She was at and they promoted that like crazy. Like it was commercials on TV after the news. I remember the radio stations like Tony Braxton is coming. I didn't get to make that show, but I just remember how crazy and how much that was promoted. So to see this residency with Cedric the Entertainer not have as big as a promotion, especially because he's on his TV show he has with Tashina Arnold. I think they just won an Emmy for that show. So I'm kind of surprised by that. So Tawanda finally gets there. And hi Naya, thank you for making the live. We missed you so much. Thank you. Um, so Tawanda gets there and everyone's laughing because her and Trina have on the same exact outfit. And they're like, y'all planned this. And I agree. I think they planned this as well. But they both denied it. And they sit down and Tony lets them know of her health scare. She lets them know that um, they all knew that she had a stent put in her heart because she, throughout the time that she was doing her tours and stuff, had to take a break because she was experiencing some complications. And they told her pretty much that she's going to have a bypass surgery and she's not happy, and this is something that's very common when you have those kind of conditions. A bypass surgery is common for that. And Tony gets emotional because all she could think about are her boys, who's going to be there for them if she were to leave this earth. And if she has a heart attack, she's pretty much done. They're telling she's not going to live. And yeah, it was emotional. Especially when Tony broke down and cried, because Tony doesn't really cry that much. If you guys watch the Braxton's Family Values, Tony cried maybe twice in the whole entire, or maybe two or three. I only can think of two times that she has cried on the entire show. So to see her cry, you can tell there's something that's really hitting her. Her anxiety is up. And I loved how all the sisters rallied around her to kind of calm her down and, get her to make sure that she knows that it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. We understand. And a lot of this is stemming from her emotions from her losing Tracy because she said that she was the sick one, not Tracy. So when Tracy died, that kind of gave her a little bit of a nudge because she's like, oh my gosh, like I'm battling this illness, and what if I go too? And I don't want to call it survivor's remorse because that's kind of insensitive to the thing, but I just feel like, you have to be thankful that you're here regardless. Like you have to be, especially battling something like that. I get it's a scary thing, but life is too short. And Tony Braxton has built such a huge legendary legacy that it's really hard for me to kind of say, no, Tony, you're gonna be all right. Yeah, and then okay, so it wasn't just me that felt like that. I was like, dang, like I hate that she feels this way. Mrs. Best. Now, this is for you. How did you feel about Tony's news and her having what we all looking at as survivor's guilt?
Um, I don't know. It I was happy that she shared, but then at the same time, I also feel like at what point do you slow down? When have you made enough, money? Like she can really sit down and just be making money. But then on the survivor's guilt thing, uh, I'm actually leading group counseling at my job right now because we had a resident pass away. I'm in
Hmm.
psychology, so I'm not a quack, y'all. But I know that psychologically, that is a trauma that people experience. And survivor's guilt is oftentimes like a symptom or the result of that kind of like a traumatic experience could cause you to have anxiety for the rest of your life. So it was sad and it was very, very real. I teared up. Hell, my husband teared up. It was really, really sad. But especially for her to have something so major medically going on with her right after your sister passes away, like so soon after, definitely gonna add like an extra element of fear that the other sisters may not have. Um, but yeah, it's just it's really really sad. Like I'm grateful that they came back and did the show, which they're probably doing for Tracy because Tracy loved the show. She carried it when all of them tried to quit. So, it's just sad. But I was annoyed as hell, and we'll get to it later with Tawanda and Miss E. Like my husband was annoyed with Miss E. I don't know.
We're gonna get to it in a
Yeah.
minute. We're
But
gonna
I
get
I
to it.
really feel for them as siblings, and then, like, they're playing clips of Tracy, like, while these women are at the table chatting and while Tony's breaking down, and it makes stuff like that much harder to watch. But I am glad that WeTV is gonna show them go through this little grief counseling journey because I think it's
Absolutely. And it's important, y'all. Grief counseling is very important when you lose someone. I get like a lot of people want to handle, we have to say we have to go on with life, but emotionally, it takes a huge toll. And if you don't do the grief counseling, you can then deal with people's deaths in the wrong way, like start drinking or creating a habit that's unhealthy. So, grief counseling is really designed to help make sure that you don't fall into a normal society pattern with losing someone. So when it comes to Tracy and them talking about her, Tamar actually brings it up that they should do some grief counseling, which I'm gonna get to her at the end because she said something to me that was kind of like, okay, well, this was something that you said they needed to do. But yeah, we're gonna get to that in a minute, y'all. But when they were talking about Tracy and talking about how they all wear their necklaces of the hummingbird, she had hummingbird tattoos, five of them to represent each sister and the brother, I believe. So it just for me, it was just a really sad scene, and we understand according to Miss E because she said that Trina actually needs grief counseling the most because she was there when, hey Joseph, nice to see you again. Thank you for stopping by. But Trina was the person that was there when Tracy took her last breath. Now, oh God, how do I say this without people coming at me in
Listen,
these
Miss
comments?
E cannot say who needs grief counseling the most. You cannot judge someone else's pain. It doesn't matter if you were right there or whether you were not right there. Everybody's impacted differently. Tony, in some ways, in my opinion, probably needs the most because medically, like a broken heart could actually impact her health. But that's just from a medical standpoint. But I don't think it's right to say, like, oh, this person needs counseling the most, especially when you're not trained in
Well,
anything
here's
but
my
being a
thing
pastor.
about this is my thing, and I hate to interrupt you, friend. Sorry, sad. This is my thing about her saying Trina needs it the most when you're the parent and you just lost one of your children. I
Mhm.
would think you would say you would need it the most, especially with how you hold on to things. And I'm not trying to dig at this mama, y'all. I really not. But I feel like I have some variance to say this because of my own personal experience. I cannot imagine what it's like as far as me losing a parent, what it would be like to lose a child. And the way she holds on to, when we saw her in Braxton Family Values, the way she was, holding on to that marriage and holding on to what the dad did and stuff and how it showed in all of her anger and vitriol, I would just think now you probably do need it more than your children do. I get they experienced her as a sibling, but that was your child. And you mean to tell me that you don't think you need it more than any of them? Okay, Miss Evelyn. Okay. Okay. I see old habits die hard. Just saying.
Miss Evelyn did make a lot of comments too at the table. Yeah, I felt like were traumatic a little bit or could make them sadder than they needed to. Sometimes I think when people pass, and this could be with how I handle my grief because everybody's different, but sometimes like less is more with the words. And I felt like she kept going into detail and speaking about things that were triggering. But this is why it's good that Tamar has suggested a grief counselor.
I absolutely, because I don't think they would have done it had she not suggested it. They then move on. I believe it was Tamar who asked, "How's little Kevin doing?" And when Tawanda was like, "He's doing good, but he's going through a divorce right now," and Tamar shocked. Everyone else kind of felt like kind of knew, but Tamar, and she goes, "Wait, what happened?" And she was all like, it happened right after Tracy had passed, and he's not talking to his father because his father is grieving. And to me, that's kind of the worst thing in the world for me is when you lose a parent and the other one isn't emotionally available to be there for you as the child that's suffering as well. I think that that is hard. And as someone who's going through this, y'all, I can resonate with little Kevin. I can because I know how hard that is. I didn't have the closest relationship with my father, but we were building that. We were building that foundation where I was agreeing to coming back home for holidays and things like that. We just never got that chance. So I could totally resonate with him. And my hope for him is that he does not handle this in the wrong way, especially being married and being a father himself. You got to make sure that you take advantage of the grief counseling. So my hope for him is that he takes advantage of the grief counseling and also sees some aside from that personal development counseling as well, because doing all these life changes, like I had a relationship in too, in the midst of my father being sick and then having to lose my job, having to relocate. So I went through it as well. So I completely understand him. Whatever emotional outburst he has, I can understand it.
I think the bigger question
Thank
and
you, Naya.
concern is I'm looking at his wife like I the timing is off. The timing is just off for me. Like you don't have to be with him or anything like that, but take a second. Um, give him a second, and we see later in the episode that she's also sending mixed signals allegedly. So it's all
Yeah.
very like without getting too much into it. Like I think to leave someone at that time, even if you're not in love with them anymore, if you've loved them before, especially with marriage, it's like the timing is just off to put all of that on him. It's just off.
Especially because yeah, we'll get to it. Let's hold on that. We'll get to it at the next thing because we're right there. So after everyone agrees to the grief counseling, we then realize that as we go forward, Trina and Vaughn are still together. They're 5 years into their marriage, and I had totally forgot about them too. Well, him especially, because I forgot she had remarried. We understand that she's also has gone through this as well with her ex-husband. He had died from cancer at the age of 43, which I was like, damn, that is so young. And I remember him as well, and I just remember how volatile that marriage was for her. But she said that they ended things being, you know, really good friends and that, grief counseling was something that, helped her get past that and always hold on to memory. Um, I lost a child at a young age. I can't imagine going through that loss without support or counseling or therapy. I am so sorry, Naya. That breaks my heart. I am so, so sorry. Um, and I'm glad that we're glad that you were able to get the help and therapy because a lot of people do not do that. A lot of people don't get therapy. A lot of people handle it in self-soothing ways. And I just think that we need to get out of that stigma that therapy is bad or that someone's gonna think you're crazy because you're going to it. I think we as Black people, I'm just gonna speak for us, we need to get out of that stigma because that's ridiculous at this point where we need as much therapy as we can get, as much resources as we can get to help us be mentally okay because we have a generation after us. And I hate to say this, y'all, but they're lost. And I think it's because of the signaled emotions that every adult has where they're not ready for them. And we're misguided, and we really are with not getting them help. But moving on from there, um, Tawanda and Trina meet up for lunch and they begin talking. Um, and Tawanda lets out the fact that she has alopecia, and that's why she has shaved her head. And all of the sisters had agreed to shave their heads for Tracy, but except Trina. Trina didn't want to do it because she said that she has Miss Evelyn's face shape, which she does. She looks exactly like her mother. So I can understand why she didn't want to go forward with it. But Tawanda got a lot of people And I remember it was a blog or something that said is Tawanda sick. I remember reading something. I'm gonna say allegedly because I don't know what the blog was or who's in charge of it or who owns it. But I remember reading something saying that Tawanda may be sick as well. And I'm like, well, I hope she's not sick. But I remember that going around, and Tawanda cleared up. She goes, she's not sick. She has alopecia, and they showed a little scene with Tracy rubbing her head, and y'all, I lost it because I can remember seeing my dad in that same kind of situation as well, seeing him at the hospital and everything. Y'all, I lost it when I saw that scene. I was like, oh my God, I had to turn the TV off. I'm like, nope, can't watch it. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually glad she went back to wearing wigs because I remember, was it the last season of Braxton Family Values where she started wearing her hair? I don't think she looks right with short hair. I'm just going to be honest, y'all. I'm not trying to. She's a beautiful woman. She's extremely beautiful, but I just think this. I don't think she looks right with short hair. I think she needs to keep the longer hair. I do. So I'm glad she went back to the wigs as well. But what did you think of this scene before we move on to Lil Kevin? What did you think about Tawanda's confession about her alopecia and everything?
I don't care, Tawanda. I'm sorry. I don't. People are coming out and speaking up on having their alopecia. You got people on reality shows with alopecia. You got Jada Pinkett Smith, whose husband smacked another man. And she spoke about her alopecia. I have alopecia. Tawanda has alopecia. I'm not trying to be insensitive or anything like that. Again, the plan was for them to shave their heads anyway in honor of Tracy. But Tawanda still did it because she has alopecia. All right. She looks
Yeah,
great bald. I actually think it fits her, but
I don't.
you know.
See, this is where I'm going to hell, y'all. I don't think it fits her at all. I don't. I
No,
I
like
I
from a
don't.
model, you sound like my husband. My husband when she came on the screen, because he loved the Braxtons, which I'm kind of weirded out about. But he goes say, the hell was she thinking? I said, oh no.
I don't like it. You know what it is? Her head
She's
is
giving model.
no, it's not giving model. It's giving like she doesn't have the right head shape for a bald head. She has too big of cheekbones. She needs hair. She needs very flowy, long hair.
Well,
I'm
I guess she
sorry.
didn't want to wear a wig.
Well, that's
'Cause
fine. She doesn't have to. I mean, but I'm just saying I don't like it.
she do got
Some
to. She say her hair growing in patches now. We
Well, because when you see the Tubi movies that she's in and stuff, she does wear
stop it.
wigs
Why
there.
you need to call them the Tubi movies? You could
Well,
have just
that's what
said
it is.
film
That's what
that
it
she's
is.
in. You
That's what it is. They're
petty.
Tubi, they're Tubi
When you
movies, and she wear a wig in the movies, and you could tell like she lost her touch with how to even style the wigs anymore. I'm sorry, no, it's
well,
a
she did
Tubi.
start. I'm sorry, I'm going to hell. She did start season one of the Braxtons in that damn pigtail wig. That them stiff ass pigtails. Do you remember those? To me, I'm used to the older
Well,
episodes.
I'm going to hell for this too, but I
They're
don't
in
know. I don't
Thailand.
know. I don't know what YouTuber said this. I don't think she does YouTube anymore, but I just remember I was watching a recap of Braxton Family Values, and she said Tawanda looked like Leon with two plaits, and I can't unsee it now. I can't unsee it now because she does look like Leon with two plaits back in season one. I remember that. So, yes.
I tried to give her like the model thing because it's like I'm trying to be like
No.
somewhat nice because she does have the alopecia, but I just feel like when my alopecia acts up, I'm either gonna get a weave or throw on a wig. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. That's the one time I will not have braids. I'm gonna throw on a wig or weave. But I guess she would prefer to just have a naked head. I don't know. Tawanda.
It's given Sidra Smith, and
Oh Lord.
we gonna move on, y'all. So, little Kevin. So, so Trina says little Kevin is on her mind. So Tawana offers to call him, and he answers. And I couldn't tell if it was little Kevin or DDG. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm blurry, can't see. And when when they file and they're like, oh, your hair looks nice. Who did your hair? And he says Olivia did my hair, which is his wife's name. And they're like, take it back. They're like, wait, what? I thought she was. trying to leave you? Like, I thought that she filed for divorce." He goes, "Yeah, she's sending mixed signals. One minute she talking about she want to be with me, the other minute she talking about she doesn't. She filed for divorce." And I'm just like, I'm not saying stay in a situation when you're unhappy. I'm not promoting that at all, because I feel like if you're not happy, definitely leave the situation. But understand that his motions of who he is right now is not reflected of who he was. He has just had one of the most life traumatic experiences at the young age that he is, losing a parent. So he's not going to be rational. He's not going to be the husband you knew. He's right now going through a moment, and it is a moment, y'all. It is a moment. It's a moment that never leaves you, but it's a moment that you will get past and learn how to deal with it better. And I feel like it's very selfish on her part. I feel like it's selfish for anyone to want to leave somebody while they're going through a grievance stage. I feel like put it to the side for now, help them with their grief counseling, and then bring up like, "Hey, now that I've stuck by you, I can't do it no more. So here it is." Like, but give him some time. I feel like she, especially if you send him mixed signals like that, that's what, to me, and I'm just being honest, y'all. To me, it just feels like she wants him to still be normal while he lost his mother, and that's not right. Mrs. Best, how did you feel about that?
Listen, I feel slightly opposite, just a little bit. Only in that I would never personally leave anybody while they're in a grieving state, especially if it's somebody I used to love or, built a life with. But then at the same time, if you're truly unhappy, do what you got to do, but actually be gone if that's what you want. If you don't want to be with this person and you're going to leave them during such a fragile state, the one thing that you can at least do is send a clear message. If you don't want to be with the boy, file for divorce, stay separate, just co-parent. Don't go and send him mixed signals and be twisting his dreadlocks and throwing braids up in his hair and, probably other things with her fast ass. There's other, you know, if you're going to be done, because she does have a right to leave if she's not happy. But cut the doggone cord cleanly, please. I just can't understand why you would play with somebody who you're already leaving during one of the worst things that happen with people is they could lose their parent or their children. Like, and he's experiencing one of those things, and his other parent is not there. Like, it's not the time to be playing with that young man. But we have to remember they got married extremely young. So there's just a lack of maturity, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that as well. I agree with that, because to me, I know for me, I couldn't do that. I couldn't just leave somebody after they had lost a parent. Like, I just could not do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm going to take abuse. I'm not going to say that. But what I would say is, like, yeah, I would cause some separation, but I would make sure I was there. Like, make sure they ate, make sure, they did their laundry, I just could not just leave somebody out destitute, but then send a mixed signal like, "Hey, baby, you want to come over tonight? I miss you." And, all the little stuff that little girls do these days. That's not the time to do that. Like, that's what we saying. So moving on from there, it's the day of the grief counseling session that Trina actually organized. She's having Spirit. Now, I remember Spirit on another TV show. I just don't remember which TV show that was. I remember the cast was like Spinderella and Benzino. I remember them two being on the show, and she was the host or the counselor that was trying to get them when they were all in their relationships. This is back when Benzino was with Althea, and I didn't know who the hell Spinderella was with at that time. But I just remember them two being in there and Spirit being if y'all remember what that show was, put it in the chat or put it in the comments, because I remember her being on the show. I do. But they're at Tony's house, and Tony's house is beautiful. I love the decor. I love the cathedral. I loved every part of Tony's house. I don't know if this is her actual house or this is a rental house. I don't know what it is, but it was beautiful nonetheless. But Tony's getting her makeup done, and Tawanda calls, and they have a small little conversation. Tawanda is on the way. Trina and Missy are in the kitchen cooking up Tracy's favorite meal, oxtails, and they all waiting to get there. So when Tamar gets there, she asks all the ladies, "So who arranged all of this?" And, you know, I don't know who said Spirit's name, but Tony's like, "Why are y'all calling her Spirit?" And they were like, "That's her name." So Tamar's like, "Well, we clearly know you didn't do it." And Trina goes, "I did it." And this is where Tamar goes, "Okay, well, I'm not here to get counseling. I'm here to be moral support." And I'm looking at Tamar like, didn't you not just say at the beginning of this episode that y'all all need to do grief counseling? Why are you backing out at the moment the lady finna get there? I was like, Tamar, really? Classic Tamar, y'all. This is what she
Give her
does.
the benefit of the doubt and say maybe since her little scare that she had where she almost took her own life, she has been pretty proactive and spoken about her therapy and all of that. So maybe she had her own grief counselor, but either way, it's like just participate. Why announce it? Just participate.
Well, it just makes it seem when someone does that, y'all, in a group setting where they're like, okay, well, I don't need the counselor. I'm just here for moral support. It's like, you're gonna make everybody else set the scene where now they're gonna be uncomfortable because they feel like, well, if you don't need it, then why do I need it then? Yeah. Tamar stayed getting on my nerves. I didn't even watch the episode yet. I'm gonna give her no, we should definitely give her a chance. I think she definitely is deserving of a chance. Um, I'm sorry, Tamar hasn't changed. She hasn't. And I think later on down the season we're gonna see it. She has not changed at all. And I
Well,
don't
we are seeing it unfortunately on social media every other day, every other something. So I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because her sister passed away. I'm trying, y'all. But the signs are pointing in that direction of a bitch ain't changed. So
they really are. They really are pointing in that direction. And I hate it because I'm like, this ain't the time to rip her right now.
how you
'Cause
care enough
dang.
about them? How you care enough about them to want them to have the counseling?
Hmm.
But then when the time comes, you don't want to participate. So if you don't
Right.
want to participate, then why show up? Just all of it. All of it's
And I
very
feel
strange.
like based on how it could have changed
I'm gonna
as
give her
time
one
went on.
more
Yeah,
episode.
it could have changed based on the timeline of the show being off and Tracy passing. Maybe Tracy and Tamar were able to get it back together because when the show ended with Tamar, they were not on the best of terms. So I'm just saying, y'all, I don't know what happened, but I felt like Tamar probably does need it just as much as everybody else does. I'm just saying. So Spirit gets there. Trina walks her in, and Spirit sets she sets the pace halfway. I'm gonna say halfway because when I was in grief counseling, all of the standards were set. We're not here to jump on anybody. We're not here to let someone's emotions go by the waistline. Everyone is entitled to cry how they want to cry or be how they want to be in any way, shape, or form because this is how you get it up out of you. She kind of says, like, I'm not trying to, no one's here to play. We're not playing the blame game or anything. And she goes, "Well, so Trina, since you called me here, why don't you go first?" And Trina was like, "Well, I don't want to go first." And to me, and I'm not trying to critique this lady's practice, y'all. I'm not trying to say anything, but in my own experience with grief counseling, it was imposed to me, how are you feeling at this moment right now? And everyone had to answer the question to kind of do an icebreaker. And I don't know why she didn't do that. But I don't know. Maybe everyone does their practices differently. But I would just think maybe an icebreaker would have helped them be so, less timid and maybe just more comfortable with her because not everyone knows her. I feel like the secrets they have will damage their image or how they have portrayed themselves to the world. I don't know. I feel like yes and no. I feel like unless they're still acting on those portrayals, then yes. But then I don't know. Society, I think we're all kind of blindsided by any type of portrayal they could have had because one of them is gone now. So I think that we're kind of just seeing how they cope with the loss and how they're going to continue on. So, Mrs. Best, how did you feel Spirit's opening to the grief counseling was? I'm curious to know your opinion.
um, oh, this is weird. Um, well, I do counseling for a living. I've been doing a lot of grief counseling. I actually just had a training on it. Usually, because people aren't like inept with that. It's not like regular counseling where a person just comes in and is ready to talk about stuff. Like they're usually in pain and they're lost and they're there because they want to find a way to feel better from the grief. But she should have started with an open ended question, like what you described, because open ended questions force people to say more, but then at the same time, asking the question still gives them the autonomy and the feeling that they have the ability to, have some type of control in it. So I don't know. The counselor was shady, but I will say the Braxtons, I don't want to say she's shady, but I don't think she, from what we saw so far, is adept to handle grief counseling. Maybe she's like a life coach or something different. But the Braxtons have a history of choosing like not the best counselors and therapists to see.
Yes, we was
I,
happy Dr. Sherry didn't show.
I,
We was
I
really happy
cannot
about that.
stand Dr. Sherry.
We was happy about that. We was like anybody could have walked through that door except that Dr. Sherry, because I'm
Yeah,
I'm not about to play with Dr. Sherry right now, y'all. That
Spirit is good, but I feel like Spirit's better for like the marriage and
relation,
family therapy route,
yeah.
which is entirely different from grief counseling. Like it's two
Well,
very different things.
right, it's dealing with the sibling versus Trina when she was married to this person. It is completely different. Marriage grief
Yeah.
counseling I can understand, but family grief counseling is not the is it's not the same because it's a different kind of love. So I just felt like I wish she would have got an icebreaker. Like maybe she could have started with, well, why don't you guys tell me what you're feeling in this moment now? Or tell me so she
You
can
should
know
have
which way
started
to
with
help.
asking them to like ask them how they're doing. If they're still reluctant, ask them to describe the person that they lost to try and get to know, the positive of it. Like, and that can be a good moment to like redirect and bring them to a moment where it's like, okay, when you're feeling sad, you can, think of the things that they did that made you miss them, that caused you to love them. And sometimes that can bring you comfort. Like, there's so many different things that she could have done, but she didn't do. But also, maybe she was uncomfortable because she's in front of a camera. I don't know.
I
But
don't
she's
know
been in front of
either.
the camera before.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's been on camera. I know I've seen that lady before.
Well, she
I
must have
know
been cheap. Hell, it's got to be something. He said if Iyanla would have walked through that door, it would have been a part two back and forth with her. I need Iyanla to walk through the door,
we
Joseph.
did. Yes, I feel like that's the only person I feel is qualified to handle this because, like, when we watched that Iyanla special with the
Hmm.
Braxtons, she held the right people accountable. She saw
Yep.
exactly what it was. That's why the sisters weren't able to move on in their relationship. She saw what it was. I
Hmm.
know we're not gonna all say it because we all know who it was as well. But the
Hmm.
problem is because that's somebody mama, we tend to tiptoe on the fact, just like we do the same thing. Let me give prime example. We do the same thing with the movie Soul Food. We gonna act like Big Mama wasn't the villain. I'm just saying we tend to give mamas a lot of passes when we need to be laying the problems on their doorsteps. I'm just saying. So yeah, Iyanla would have been the perfect candidate to do the grief counseling. I feel like if not her,
Iyanla said, "Oh, I love her little quote. I'm gonna go to the bush and weep." I said, "Oh Lord, they done
mhm.
stressed her out."
I feel like if it wasn't Iyanla, Dr. Francis would have been another good one.
Who's
But
that guy that pissed off Nene years ago?
oh, Doctor, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name, y'all.
I can't think of his name, but I feel like he can handle Tamar specifically.
Is this comment right here? Thank you,
Because
Naya.
he triggers me low key. Yeah.
Because we're not really putting the root of the problem where it belongs. We can clearly see the reason why these sisters have dysfunction is because of her. But nobody's going to come out and say that because that's somebody's mama. And because they love their mom, which rightfully so.
And
Yeah, they're
she
not going to
loves
see it.
the camera.
She looked good though. I will say that Miss E
Does
looking
look
good.
good.
She looked better than she ever has on this TV show. I'm just saying. Dr. Jeff,
Oh,
thank you
Dr.
so
Jeff.
much.
There it
Thank you
goes. There
so
it goes.
much.
There it
Yes.
goes.
Yes.
That's
Tracy
the
was the one
truth.
who wasn't scared. Yep, very
She had
true.
a relationship with her dad and her dad's wife,
Hmm.
regardless, because at the end of the day, she wasn't cheated on, and that's her daddy.
Well, I don't feel like you should drive a wedge between your kids and their father just because he made that kind of mistake. The hurt was for you, not for the kids to endure too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like, yeah, I didn't agree with that as well.
yeah.
So going back to the episode, y'all, because we got a little sidetracked. That's what we do on my channel. We got to go through our. It's very pertinent. It's pertinent to the situation, yes. But you
Mm,
know,
preach, Naya.
I'm just
Preach, girl.
saying. I'm
Thugging
just saying.
cousin.
Right? I'm just saying this part right here. But what we will say is that they don't know how to open up to spirit. Spirit's like, well, why am I here? I can't help you and all of this. And I'm just like, well, if you started with open-ended questions and carried on the conversation, they will open up with you. So I'm hoping episode 2, that's what happens. I'm hoping that this is what happens. I hope this lady gets it together because I was a little disappointed watching that. I was like, oh no, that's not how my grief counseling session went. It didn't go like that at all. When I tell you that lady was prepared for me, that lady was prepared. She didn't even have any information. She was prepared. So it kind of felt like either she didn't know what she was doing there or she doesn't have experience in this profession of grief counseling. It's one of the two. So,
I
you
am
know,
telling you, as a professional, she does not have the experience in this type of counseling. She just doesn't. But depending on licensure, she can probably practice what she chooses, but that doesn't mean that she should. But because I didn't like how, well, what am I here for? Lady, you don't say
right.
that to people who are grieving. This is not the time to be aggressive to get out of truth. Like, no, where's your empathy? Empathy, where is it?
Right. Cause I would have started out like, I can't imagine how each and every one of you is feeling. You could be all different, it could be all the same, but I just could not imagine. So whomever is more comfortable, why don't you share with me how you're feeling right now? Do you feel angry? Do you feel hurt? Or is it a combination of both? Like, just kind of lead in with the whole how are you feeling? Because that's what you're there. No, no, you're right. Big Mama should have been actual mama and tell her kids that they're showing their natural black behinds. They need to get together
Right,
instead of Sunday dinners would solve all their problems.
right.
I'm just
Force
saying.
but
I'm
not to
just
talk.
I'm just saying the emotional trauma bonds that a lot of black moms give to their children, in spite of how the relationship with their father ends, carries on because then it happens in their own personal relationships with whomever they choose as people. And that's what Iyanla was trying to tell her. But she's so offended by anything being her fault for the demise of her marriage that she couldn't even see that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, no, that's y'all. We can go on and on about this, but that was pretty much the end of the episode. Next week I'm gonna continue with this show. I do need to do an updates video because I know Love and Marriage Detroit is coming back in September. So I will be announcing that I will pick up that show. So whoever's in this live, y'all hear it first. I will be doing Love and Marriage Detroit. I hope to stick with it the entire time because y'all know last time I dropped out like episode 3 or 4. I couldn't do it. The men were sorry. I couldn't do it. So I will be picking up Love and Marriage Detroit. This week we're back
What's
with
the
family.
one with the crying man, the
Hmm.
boy with the man bun, and
Yep.
there was another one, the overly Christian one that I didn't trust.
Right.
Oh
So
Lord.
they're coming back September. So
Oh
we will be
no.
on that show. This week we're back with Family Empire, Houston, and Love and Marriage Huntsville. I will be back recapping those this week. They come back. Real Housewives of Dubai is on Wednesday, so I hope to see you guys all there. We'll be here about Wednesday on 7. And I know Mrs. Best has Real Housewives of New Jersey tomorrow, so we'll be on her channel tomorrow. And also, I believe Tuesday for Basketball Wives and Love and Hip Hop.
Tuesday basketball wives, Wednesday love and hip hop.
Okay, so we'll be on her channel. So yeah, we'll be on our channels all week, pretty much except Thursday, y'all, and Friday maybe. But I am gonna do an updates video. I promise y'all. I'm so busy these days. I can't even get it together. But we'll get together, and I'm excited nonetheless for Love and Marriage Detroit. I hope they bring something different. I don't follow up or don't follow any of them, so hopefully, They'll surprise us. You would have thought Big Mama dying would bring the family together, but instead made things worse with them fighting over money. I would have cut my family off, especially Faith.
Oh yeah,
We
Faith
talking,
is never invited to the
we
cookout.
talking about Terry, right? Justice for Terry. You know what? Maybe we'll do a live talking about Big Mama's house. Oh, not Big Mama, Soul Food. Maybe we'll do like a live.
Right,
If y'all,
because Terry, they had her, they had her fucked up. I'm gonna curse. I'm sorry. They did. She was lending out money, helping people pay for their businesses, bailing husbands out of jail, calling the family members that will, do some illegal activity, when she thought her sister was in danger. Terry was holding the family down. They had her fucked up. I'm just saying.
absolutely. So maybe we'll do that one of these days. We'll do like a Soul Food. Was Big Mama the villain or not? Because yeah, honestly, y'all, Big Mama was a villain to me. I'm sorry. After watching that movie Grown, a lot of that was Big Mama's fault. Sorry.
And she ignored that diet. She
hmm
was
Yeah,
diabetic.
we are Justice for Terry on this channel on Watch Your Mouth
Mhm.
Reviews and also Mrs. Best channel. She is definitely a Justice for Terry.
That's one of my
Yes.
favorite movies. I actually watch it often, and my husband thinks it's weird. I love that movie. I have no clue why. Just
So yeah, we'll do like a little. I don't know if it's yeah, we'll do it as an unpopular opinion. Was Big Mama the villain? I can't wait to see what people will resonate with because a lot of people don't think she was a villain at all. They just loved her, and I'm just like, you can love somebody but still hold them accountable. I don't understand why we don't think the two can coagulate, but they absolutely can. But that's it, That's it, you guys. I appreciate everybody for being here. Got some familiar faces I have not seen in a long time. Joseph Felton, thank you for joining me today. Naya, I am so happy that you were here tonight. Jim Bunny was here. All my peoples was here in this chat, y'all. Y'all keep me going. I love it. OST, thank you as well for being here. We definitely appreciate you. Am I forgetting anybody? India Cox, first time I'm seeing you across my chat screen. Thank you. It is a pleasure for you to chat with me. We love it. We love any engagement that you guys give. I am so grateful for this. You guys do not know. But thank you guys so much once again, Mrs. Best. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you too. And we will see you guys on the next recap on my channel. Bye, guys.